Hey mates, K11 here and welcome to the British Grand Prix for 1998, round 9 of the 1998 Formula 1 season. Now, going to this race, I'm a little bit more optimistic, mainly because this is the second half of the season, and if 1997 has anything to go by, I should go quite well here, particularly because several of my favourite tracks are in the second half of the season, such as this track, Silverstone, Hungaroring, Spa-Francorchamps, the Nürburgring and Suzuka, so hopefully I can power through for some success in the second half of the season, particularly after a relatively poor first half of the season. Anyway, now looking at the real life version of this race, first place we got Michael Schumacher, Häkkinen came second and Eddie Irvine third, but this was all very controversial. I think on lap 43, whereas the race was on the safety car, Michael Schumacher passed Alexander Wirth. So Schumacher was penalised eventually with a 10-second stop-go penalty, which I think after some sort of confusion saw Schumacher take the stop-go penalty on the final lap. So as he was coming to the pits, because of where the finish line is located, Schumacher crossed the finish line and then entered his pit bait for his stop-go penalty. There were political mess. It turned into a political mess to try and figure out what action should be taken, things like that. But because of conflicting rules, this penalty was later rescinded, much to the chagrin of McLaren, who came second and were Ferrari's biggest contenders at the time. Not surprising, the result of this race, because of the wet weather, it turned out to be quite a chaotic race, which saw 13 retirements, but only 3 of those were mechanical problems. All the others were spin-outs into the sand trail, and one was a result of an accident. That was a Rubens Barrichello on lap 39. This wet weather scenario is going to be played out today, as with my rules of how I'm setting these races. So, considering how I've gone in the wets, I hope to go a bit better this race. Right, with that done, we'll look at the current Drivers' Championship now. Mika Häkkinen is still in the lead, the only driver all season to have won 4 races, having won in Argentina, Spain, Monaco, and Canada. His teammate David Coulthard stopped his Häkkinen's winning streak, winning in France, which moves him ahead of myself in the standings. Coulthard's on 41 points, drawn with Michael Schumacher, and I'm still on 36, 18 points behind Mika Häkkinen. Eddie Irvine pulls ahead of Untitled Chapter with 5th place, and following on from this, the other point scorer positions go to John Lacey, Damon Hill, after scoring his only 3 points, San Marino, and Yano Trulli, a solitary point from Australia, the first race of the season. And now looking at the Constructors' Championship here, McLaren Mercedes are in a really big lead, 40 points ahead of Ferrari, so McLaren Mercedes looks set to win the Constructors' Championship for the first time since 1991. Benetton Playlife is further behind Ferrari, but only by 19 points. Ferrari, either driver has scored throughout the whole season. Myself, in Benetton, considering I'm the only one scoring, failed to score in San Marino and France. If we're going to catch up, if we can, both of us will need to score. I think I've said that quite a few times this season, but to no success. The other point scoring positions at the moment, Williams is in 4th place on 11 points, scoring 1 point in front, thanks to Frentzen. Sauber Petronas is firmly in 5th place, scoring 2 points, thanks to Jean Alesi. And still in 6th and 7th place respectively, we've got Jordan, Honda, and Prost, Peugeot. So with that said, looking at where everyone will be starting for this race, I start on pole with a 1:24.240, 3.5 seconds ahead of Mika Hakkinen. So that should say a lot of how I will go this race, and a demonstration of how what I was saying before at the start of the video, that this second half of the season is going to comprise of a lot of races which I'm good at and can see me charge through well for the rest of the season. On the second row of the grid, John Lacey in the Sauber is in third place, a further a little over a second behind Mika Hakkinen, and just edging out over the number 2 Ferrari of Eddie Irvine. The third row, David Coulthard and Untitled Chapter, both actually they scored the same times, only 0.071 seconds behind Eddie Irvine. So there were not much in it between 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, so be interesting to see how this is reflected in the race. And in 7th place we got Mika Salo in the Arrows, really good qualifying result in 7th, edging out over his teammate Pedro Diniz, so be interesting to see how he goes. Following behind him, Giancarlo Fisichella, Damon Hill and Olivier Panis. Wow. Who else had found? Because I'm looking through Olivier Panis, Esteban Tueri, Shinji Nakano. These are the best qualifying results for all these drivers that are normally at the back. Michael Schumacher obviously did not have a really good qualifying session, and actually looking at these times, a lot of these drivers would not be able to race under the 107% rule, but I think because there's so many not within 107%, they're just going to let them race anyway. Looking down the rest, Ricardo Rossi, 14th place. Wow. Johnny Herbert in the Sauber, 15th. And looking towards the back, it goes back to normal. Rubens Barrichello, Jacques Villeneuve, Pedro Diniz, Jos Verstappen, Yana Trulli, and Toru Takagi. So a very interesting starting group for this race. It'll be very interesting to see how this race will turn out. Thank you, Mo, for guiding us into that introduction. As I fall down to 3rd place as we come into the first corner at Copse now. But I passed Michael Schumacher again, and now I've got Mika Hakkinen to go so I can lead this race. Now coming to the complex now, or I'm just coming on the outside of Mika Hakkinen. There's going to be contact. No, as I passed him exiting Chapel, now back onto the hangar straight. So I am in the lead of the British Grand Prix on the first lap, having only gone through several corners. As we now come into Stone now. Down through the gears, 3rd gear, very well done. Up the 4th, going about now to the club. Not church, as I said previously, apologies. Not too bad. Now we're coming onto what is today known as the pit straight. If you can imagine a big building onto your right. I'm going to be making a lot of those references in future Grand Prix. I should just stop doing that. As we're coming to Abbey now. 2nd gear. That corner's had trouble with me all over the course of my F1 career so far, but hopefully the rain could be on my side for this race. Now we're going to Priori now. Now to the famous last section. We've got Brooklands. And up ahead we've got Luffield, very tight Luffield. Not too shabby there as we come across Woodcote. And to complete our first lap, so a very good first lap done there for the British Grand Prix. The positions we've got Levin, Hakkinen, Irvine, Frentzen, Alesi, and Fisichella. So very good for Benetton at the moment, and equally good for Irvine, Heinz-Held Frentzen, and Jean Alesi. So this should be a very interesting race so far, and I don't think we're going to have any controversies regarding pit stop, stop-go penalties, and all that jazz, because Michael Schumacher is nowhere to be seen. Although it is Schumacher we're talking about, we can very much see him come back through the grid. Actually, looking in the back, I don't see anyone there. Oh, that's good. I better prepare myself for what I'm going to be saying before the end of the race. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back, and it looks like I'm going through Brooklands now. I'm not going too badly. I don't hear anyone behind me, so this is looking like to be a perfect race. Well, I need to, considering how I fared in France. But I don't think there is any much need for me to prove my worth here. I mean, I've scored relatively well throughout the whole entire season. I have already won 2 races, the first 2 races of the season. And other than that, I've scored, apart from San Marino, which I blew out the engine, and France, where I blew out the engine, we haven't been scoring too badly. But I am still 4th in the championship, so that might need addressing. I apologise for the amount of silence we get in this video, unlike my rest of my videos, but like Monaco last year, and to extent this year, I'm way in the lead to everyone else, and I have nothing to say, really. Just chat amongst yourself for now. Looking at this on my 3rd lap of 6, I don't hear anyone behind me, unless I make a complete fool of myself and make a mistake. This should be a very predictable race. We come across the finish line, complete our 3rd lap. Nothing's changed, although Fisher Keller has fallen out of favour with David Coulthard. That's probably the only change, so darn, my teammate's not scoring, so that's not very good for Benetton's hopes as I come a bit too wide coming out of Maggots. But not too problem, I'm back on track again. And Beckett's and Chapel were no problems again. I wonder if I'm relaxing at this point, considering I'm way ahead in the rank at Silverstone. I think this race will confirm me as a proper world title contender, depending on how I go for the rest of this series. Because keep in mind, last year on this track, I started in, I think, 7th position. And I would have had a good start instead of ran into the back of one of the Ferraris, which pushed me down. But it was most noteworthy with a second half battle between myself and Alexander Wirtz. We're battling for a single point. It must have been a really serious point. I almost lost it because when I was entering club, I got too much curb and I ended up spinning the car out. So I had to try very hard to pass him again to get that single point, which I did, and I was quite chuffed about that. I was actually enjoyed that battle. Too bad Wirtz is not here to see this because I've replaced him. And I doubt we're going to see him for much of this F1 career. So I apologise to all fans of Alexander Wirtz out there, but I needed to replace somebody so I could be in this series. There's no space in the real life for myself, as everyone will know. Looking at the best time, I think that's maybe faster, if not faster, than my qualifying time. No, it's only just a fraction shorter, but if I'm doing these sort of laps all the time, I should be catching up to the rear end traffic soon enough. Well, only lap 5, so I should be catching up to some back markers any time now. Now, as we come across the finish line for our final lap, the positions quite predictable. Kent Levin, Mika Hakkinen, Eddie Irvine, Jean Alesi, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and David Coulthard. So, Alesi is obviously going to punch Heinz-Harald Frentzen, but looking at where everyone is at this point, I doubt there's going to be any real big change for the rest of the race. It'll be interesting to see what sort of splits I'll get at the end of this lap when we have a look at the final results. Because considering that I haven't seen anybody else ever since the first lap, I must be at least 20-30 seconds ahead of Hackney. And I should be catching up to one of the backmarkers unless they've... I haven't seen any other cars retired. I don't think this game does that sort of feature. The more complex stuff won't come until I think F1 3 Challenge, or at least when the PS2 versions come out. Yeah. Should come across underneath the bridge for final time. Priori. Oh no, it has been quite a predictable race, but a quite clean race too. Not making any mistakes, easing into it, using my really good qualifying time as an advantage. So come across the left field for the final time. Very well done. And across Woodcote to take my win at the British Grand Prix for 1998. Nothing more I have to say, really. So that would make that my third race win of the season, my first race win since Brazil, and my fourth race win in my entire career. Hopefully that would push me back up through the standings and back into where I belong in second place behind Mika Häkkinen. We shall see in a few minutes. Bear with me here. Apart from my win, I'm 16.64 seconds ahead of Mika Häkkinen. And Eddie Irvine was another 6 seconds behind Häkkinen. 4.4 seconds to John Alesi, 3 to Untitled Frentzen. Oh, so that must have been a bit of a battle between Frentzen and Coulthard for 5th place. So, good, really good race for myself. Predictable race for Häkkinen. Irvine did a good job. Alesi and Frentzen did a good job scoring for their respective teams. And David Coulthard brings up the rear, so ensures McLaren extends their championship lead. So now looking at the Drivers' Championship after this race, Mika Häkkinen is still in the lead on 16 points, but I'm now back into second place, just 14 points behind Häkkinen. So yeah, of course this race would solidify my championship chances. We'll just have to wait and see how this goes. David Coulthard has broken the tie with Michael Schumacher with that point, so he's solitary third in the championship. Michael Schumacher is in 4th place on 41, just a point behind Coulthard. And rounding out the top scoring positions, we got Eddie Irvine solidifying himself in 5th place, followed by Untitled Frentzen and Jean Alesi. Both moved up in the points with their point scoring position, so that's not too bad. And rounding out at the back, we got particularly Damon Hill yet to score again for Jordan, and Jarno Trulli yet to score again for Prost. And in the Constructors' Championship, McLaren Mercedes is on 102, 43 points ahead of Ferrari. I would seriously have to have a look at the table later to see and gauge how many races until McLaren Mercedes inevitably will win their Constructors' Championship. I'll tell you that in the next video, hopefully. Second place, Ferrari, 59 points. This is where the battle's at, actually. Ferrari trying to stay ahead of Benetton Benetton is now on 46 points, so 13 points behind Ferrari. So Ferrari may be looking a bit concerned there to try and hold second in the championship. We shall see. 4th place, Williams Mecachrome on 13 points. Salvo Petronas on 10, both benefiting from this race. And then we got Jordan on 3 points and Prost on 1 point. So there we have the British Grand Prix for 1998. Fairly boring race compared to a lot of other races, but it does help a lot with my championship hopes. And now that I'm second by not too many points behind Häkkinen, I can start making a charge for this last half of the season and hope it pays out dividends. I hope you guys, in a way, enjoyed this race, and I'll see you guys in the next race in Austria.